Bill Gates once mentioned him as truly the broadest thinker he has ever encountered. Warren Buffett described him as the architect of Berkshire Hathaway and the smartest person he's ever met. That man is none other than the investing legend Charlie Munger.
What I needed to get ahead was to compete against idiots. And luckily, there's a large supply.
When a reporter asked Charlie Munger how to succeed in life, Charlie Munger said,
"That is easy because it's so simple.
What is it?
You don't have a lot of envy, you don't have a lot of resentment, you don't overspend your income, you stay cheerful in spite of your troubles, you deal with reliable people, and you do what you're supposed to do. And all these simple rules work so well to make your life better, and they're so trite."
Let's look into some of the best investment and life advice Charlie Munger has shared over the years.
And I will say something about life generally. I was very lucky in that I had an ancestor that I never met. He had this theory, looking back at his long life, with this unusual success. And he owned a bunch of farms at the end that he leased to Germans. You couldn't lose money leasing a farm to a German in Iowa. Naturally, he was successful. But what he said over and over again to his grandchildren, including my mother, was the real opportunities that come to you are few. It's a very fortunate life that is just bathed in opportunity all the way. Most people just get a few times when they can make a huge difference by seizing a huge activity. And he said, when you find one, my dear grandchildren, you can clearly recognize it. He says, seize it boldly and don't do it small. This guy was my soulmate, the great-grandfather I never knew. And of course, I totally adopted his point of view. And I must say it has worked wonderfully. And so I quit claim my great-grandfather Ingham's rule to you. Assume that your really major opportunities in life are going to be few. And when you get a Lollapalooza, for God's sakes, don't hang by like a timid little rabbit. Don't hang back. They aren't that many of the really big good ones. If you take the whole history of Berkshire Hathaway, if you take out the 20 best transactions, our record is a joke. Well, 20 best transactions over 40-some years, that's one every 2 years. And we work at it all the time. Life is not just bathing you in unlimited opportunities, even if you work at being able to find them and seize them.
As Charlie Munger mentioned, life doesn't shower us with great opportunities. Few major opportunities will present themselves over the course of our life. And then all that is required is a willingness to bet heavily when the odds are extremely favorable, using resources available to you as a result of your prudence and patience in the past. Munger believed that investment opportunities with true potential are both few and far between, as well as worth waiting for. He mentioned that the big money is not in the buying and selling, but in the waiting.
But what caused the financial success was not extreme ability. You know, I have a good mind, but I'm way short of prodigy. And I've had results in life that are prodigious. And that came from tricks. I just learned a few basic tricks from people like my grandfather.
What were those tricks?
What kind of... Now everybody's leaning in, wanting to know.
It's too late for you old guys. There are all kinds of tricks that I just got into by accident in life. One, I invert all the time. I was a weather forecaster when I was in the Air Corps. And how did I handle my new assignment? Being a weather forecaster in the Air Corps is a lot like being a doctor that reads x-rays. It's a pretty solitary. You're in the hangar in the middle of the night and drawing weather maps and you're clearing pilots, but you're not interfacing with a bunch of your fellow men very much. And so I figured out the minute I was actually making weather forecasts for real pilots, I said, how can I kill these pilots? Now, that's not the question that most people would ask, but I want to know what the easiest way to kill them would be so I could avoid it. And so I thought it through in reverse that way, and I finally figured out, I said, there are only two ways I'm ever going to, I was in the ferry command, there are only two ways I'm going to kill a pilot. He said, I'm going to get him to icing his plane can't handle, and that will kill him. Or I'm going to get him someplace where he's going to run out of gas before he can land because all the airports are sucked in. And I just was fanatic about avoiding those two hazards. And if Kobe Bryant had had somebody like me, he'd still be with us. Yeah, it was so stupid to kill yourself that way. But just that basic, I may have learned that from my grandfather. My grandfather would say to me when I'm swimming, He'd say, swim as long as you want, but stay near the shore. Well, but you can laugh, but
No,
he was a very wise man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, what I'm hearing you say is that you, as a discipline, look at what the risk is on the other side of the situation, and you avoid that. That's one of the rules, right?
Well, it's like a lot of practical problems in algebra. If you invert, you can solve it easily. If you don't, you can't solve it easily.
Exactly right.
And so, of course, I had that trick very early. And most people, they say, how can you, please tell us what you do to save India or to help India. And of course, I would approach it differently. I'd say, what could I do which would most easily hurt India? And approaching it in reverse that way, I got better results.
You look at the vulnerabilities.
Yes, and I have a whole bag of tricks like that.
Charlie Munger often mentions that the way he thinks about solving problems is crucial to his success. One of his thinking method is inversion. When Charlie thinks about things, he starts by inverting. Munger counsels, it is in the nature of things that many hard problems are best solved when they are addressed backward. For example, to understand how to be happy in life, Charlie will study how to make life miserable, so he can avoid them. To examine how to grow his business big and strong, Charlie first studies how businesses decline and die. When most people care more about how to succeed in the stock market, Charlie is most concerned about why most people have failed in the stock market. His way of thinking comes from his philosophy, all I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I will never go there. Charlie Munger isn't the only one who finds value in these inversion thought experiments. Mark Andreessen, the legendary Silicon Valley investor and the co-founder of Netscape, has an inversion system for testing his investment ideas. When Andreessen decides to invest in a business, he uses a red team that takes the other side of an investment argument. This red team comes in and tries to destroy Andreessen's investment idea with their argument. And if Andreessen's still yelling out all the reasons why the company is a winner after it has been ripped to shreds, then maybe Andreessen will invest. He calls it disagree and commit culture.
Specialization is the safest way up for most people. And for that reason, say surgeons know more and more about less and less. And that's what gets rewarded. And if you have a nasty fistula in your colon, you do not want a surgeon who's good at Proust or political science. It's understandable how the world rewards this specialization. I never liked it. And I loved picking up new ideas, being a great, passionate reader. And so I decided I'd make whatever living I could make doing what I like to do, which is sort of romping over a whole field. I do not recommend it to other people because the safe way up is to know a hell of a lot about something.
Charlie Munger famously said, "It's far better to have a few things you understand well than to have a lot of things you don't." Munger mentioned, "The right strategy for the great mass of humanity is to specialize. Warren and I didn't really do that. We prefer the other type of activity. But I don't think we can recommend it to other people." While some companies tend to focus on investing in stocks that fall under the same sector, Warren and Charlie had different ideas. Their investment portfolio is extensive and covers many sectors. Some of their biggest investments include Apple, a tech company, Bank of America, a financial services company, and Coca-Cola, a company in the consumer defensive sector. Munger said, "It's like a little more treasure hunting back in our day, and it was easy to spot the treasure. We made it work, but it was kind of a lucky thing." However, Munger stressed that this approach isn't for everyone. It's not the standard way to go because they might not be as lucky as him and Buffett. One of Munger's favorite axioms was that good businesses are ethical businesses, and a business model that relies on trickery is doomed to fail. Munger and Buffett developed a reputation for closely analyzing the operations of businesses they were considering making investments in, and looking for businesses with both excellent growth potential, as well as have the characteristics of fair, even-handed, and ethical. Munger was fond of saying that he always looked for businesses that even a fool could run, with the idea being that if you hold a stock for long enough, Eventually, the leadership at that company will indeed make some foolish decisions. I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching.